it's me, your friendly neighbourhood otaku, Scarlet Uzumaki, back with another video. But today, besties, we are talking about more theories for the movie Sonic 4, the latest addition to the Sonic film universe, and this film will be coming out next year. I'm so excited for it. As you can tell, I'm a really big Sonic fan. I love that little blue hedgehog. So besties, sit back, relax, and let us talk about Sonic theories and get hydrated. If you saw my last video about Sonic 4 film theories, we talked a little bit about what the main plot would be for the movies, and we discussed that maybe it would involve things like time travel, because we believe that with Sonic 4 featuring Metal Sonic and Amy, it would be following the Sonic CD plotline, which also involves time travel. In that video, we touched upon most of the alien characters of the movie and what their role would be in the film. So people like Amy, Sonic, Shadow, those types of people. But in this film, I wanted to focus on the humans, and more specifically, people like Tom, Maddy, and Dr. Eggman, as they are the main human characters. Dr. Stone also features, but he's more of a supporting role, I believe, in my eyes, even though he's the main character in my heart. So let's talk about Tom, who is the kind of like adopted father / father figure for Sonic, Knuckles and Tails, but more so for Sonic, as he kind of teaches him roles about how to be a good hero, teaches him how to be more in control of his powers and be more responsible of himself. And he does have a bit of a lesser role in this film as opposed to the first film. So in the first film, his arc was about wanting more from life. He wanted to be a police officer in a big busy town, solve real crimes, but then Sonic speeds into his life and he's like, do you know what, this is enough adventure for me. And as the films go on, he's featured less and less along with his wife Maddy, but he himself is featured less and less, mostly because his arc from the first film is now over. He has discovered his adventure, but as each adventure of Sonic grows, his role becomes less and less, as he becomes more of a support role for Sonic, more of a mentor, rather than being the main character of the Sonic franchise. As he is featuring less and less, I believe his next challenge will be tackling fatherhood, and not fatherhood from Sonic, Tails and Knuckles, but actual fatherhood with a human child. Why do I think this? This is because this is only the natural progression for a lot of characters. When they get written out of stories or become of a lesser role, they tend to make them parents. An example of this is in the Fast and Furious franchise. Paul Walker passed away before the film could be completed and before the film was released. Because the writers, the producers, the directors didn't want to hinder Paul Walker's legacy with the Fast and Furious franchise, because it did start with him, and they didn't want to end his character's life on screen. They wanted to give him a proper send-off, and they wanted to also pay tribute to him. So to do this, they said that Paul Walker wanted out of the stealing cars business and the whole fast car, world heist, whatever they're doing in this movie business, because his wife Mia was pregnant and they were expecting a baby, and they wanted to start on their life and take a step back from this fast-paced Fast and Furious life. And so he and Mia kind of stepped away from the franchise in the movieverse because they were expecting a family. And I think this is what will happen to Tom in the Sonic movies. He will step away because Maddy may be expecting, and he wants to kind of focus on Maddy and the baby who also needs his help, so he can't be around to get involved in the adventure as much as he could before. And also in Sonic 3, he got injured by Shadow, so maybe he's like, damn, I'm too old for this adventure, and just wants to like tap out, do a Gohan, take a step back and just watch everyone else get in on the action. So I think that's what will happen. And if they do have a baby, if my theory is correct, they'll probably have a baby and call him Chris, because in Sonic X, Sonic had like a child friend who was kind of his friend throughout the series, and they just like, I don't know, they just squatted in this boy's house. He's a rich boy, and they all lived in his house, and Chris Thorndike was Sonic's human friend. So I think to pay tribute to this in the movies, Tom will have a baby or a son and he will call him Chris and he will be Sonic's new little friend. Let's talk about Maddy. She is Tom's wife. She is Tom's biggest support and she is also another mentor to Sonic, Knuckles and Tails. So Tom's having a baby. Who is he having that baby with? Obviously Maddy. Who else is gonna have a kid with? Like, Maddy is his wife. So Maddy will be having a baby. But during the Sonic movies, it has been sort of discovered that whatever colour Maddy is wearing is going to be the colour of the person who will be featured in the end of credit scene and is going to feature in the next Sonic film. So we will have to wait and see what colour Maddy will be wearing, as she is always the signifier for whoever is going to feature in the next film. For Maddy, she will take a step back because, as I mentioned before, with Tom, she and Tom are going to be parents to their new baby. Again, this is just my theory. This is not what is definitely going to happen, but this is what I believe will happen as the natural progression for a lot of human characters like Tom and Maddy to feature less is that they'll become parents. Now let's talk about Dr. Stone. So Dr. Stone, he is Dr. Robotnik's / Eggman's assistant, self-proclaimed best friend, and he is basically enamored with Eggman. And in Sonic 3, Eggman kind of gave this heartfelt speech before he sacrificed himself and lost his life. And we saw Dr. Stone amongst the crowd in London looking visibly distraught as he lost his best friend and somebody who he obviously very much cares about. Dr. Stone will put his life on the line for Eggman. He is enamored of him, he admires him so much, and I think he may love him. I said it. I think Dr. Stone loves Eggman. Stone Egg, that should be their ship name. Stone Nick, I don't know. Wait, did I call him Dr. Stone? I meant to say Agent Stone, but I kept calling him Dr. Stone. I don't know why I have Dr. Stone in my head. I'm sorry, Agent Stone. But Agent Stone, I think you are in love with Eggman, but I don't think the movies will outwardly say it, but it has been heavily inferred by the language he uses to describe him, the way he looks at him, that he is in love with that man. And because of this, I think in Sonic 4, he will have to be going through his grieving arc. I mean, maybe in the beginning of the film, he will have joined a grieving support group for the people who have lost their spouses and people who are close to them. He will be there. He'll be very much grieving for Eggman. But as the film progresses, his grief kind of like turns him, it kind of twists him. So he still has access to Eggman's technology. So he will be using that to try and find any traces of Eggman. And that's when he discovers the time stones. I think the result of Ark exploding with all that chaos energy is that this created time stones, and Agent Stone finds out about this and he wants to use the time stones to rewind time to bring back his love, to bring back Eggman. But something happens and the time stones are taken from him, and thus somebody else wants to use them for evil deeds, and we will touch upon that next. So Agent Stone, grieving from the loss of his love, wants to bring him back any way possible, and he discovers the time stones and wants to use this, but they are taken. Ooh. So Dr. Robotnik, he is the villain of these movies. He is Sonic's arch nemesis. Each movie he comes back, he's coming back to try and squash the Blue Devil himself. But Sonic's not having that. Sonic goes into a little ball and pew pew pew. Sonic is not gonna let that slide. Sonic will always be coming through to beat Eggman into scrambled eggs. Yes, that's what he'll be doing. Beating that man into scrambled eggs. In the end of Sonic 3, Eggman actually sacrificed himself to stop Ark from exploding and destroying the Earth. Why did he do this? Was he even redeemed, or did he do this because he didn't want Earth to be destroyed because he wanted it for himself? I think a part of him was redeemed because he didn't want to destroy the Earth. He wasn't that type of villain. That was his granddad. His granddad was the one who wanted to really destroy the Earth. Whereas Eggman, he just wants to rule. And he knew this was wrong, to kill these innocents. So he sacrificed himself. So what I think happened is at the end of this movie, he did not die. but he is severely injured. And I mentioned this in my previous video. I believe that Eggman will be severely injured at the result of his sacrifice at the Ark station. What I believe happens is that in his severely injured state, his body is beyond repair. So he is severely injured to the point he is unable to use his body. So what he does is he actually creates a robotic version of himself. And this robotic version of himself is served as his own body. So it's kind of like a Darth Vader situation where he puts some of his consciousness into this robot so that it can act out his own will, and he wants to use his robot to kind of finish off the plans that he started. However, what happens is that this robot starts doing shady things. The first shady thing he does is he builds himself a metal Sonic. And at first, Eggman's gonna be like, wow, you built a metal version of my enemy, weirdo. But then this metal Sonic is evil, so evil. He starts destroying things and people, and Eggman's like, whoa, this is bad, I need help. So that is when he alerts Stone that he's alive. And Stone's like, wow, you're alive? I don't even need the time stones. And the evil Eggman's like, time stones? If I use these time stones, I'll be able to rule, not rule over Earth, but to rule over every single timeline in the universe. Metal Eggman's like, time stones, I can rule over every timeline in existence and be the lord of space and time, not just the Earth. So he makes more of these bad boy Metal Sonics and wants to use them along with the time stones to rule over all the space and time. Yes, that's what I think will happen. Oh, that would be such a cool movie. So yes, that is what I think will happen to each and every human character in the Sonic movie. So besties, let me know what you think about this, and let me know if you think this is a viable theory for each of the characters. And if you don't agree, what do you think will happen to the human characters in Sonic?